So Darwin Nunez is officially a Liverpool player. 80 million up front with 20 million on add-ons is believed to be the fee that has been agreed between Benfica and Liverpool. Here to give my thoughts on Darwin Nunez, here to discuss this deal, here to discuss whether this deal will work for Liverpool, whether he will be a success. Will it be a flop, or will it work the way Liverpool fans most hope that it most certainly will? Going to be honest straight off the bat, like many football fans and like many Liverpool fans, you're not going to know every single thing about this player, because it's impossible. And if you say, absolutely everything about this guy, you're obviously, maybe you're a big Benfica fan on the side, or you've got connections there or something like that. But generally speaking, if you're a Liverpool fan, you probably don't spend your time or your weekdays watching Benfica, because that probably would be a little bit odd, to be honest, unless you had some profound love for Portuguese football, which Liverpool Football Club do seem to have recently when you look at some of their players that they have been signing, in the likes of Luis Diaz, for example, who obviously came from Porto. But it is Darwin Nunez who completes his move, and look, obviously with Sadio Mane, who we very well know is on the way out the door with Liverpool, that deal looks as if it's going to go through anytime soon. It looks like he's going to be joined Bayern Munich, which is sad, because Mane, has been one of my favourite Liverpool players since he signed. Prolific in front of goal. He does everything right. He's been perfect for Liverpool, and he's been so consistent in the last couple of seasons. And yes, he's had drops off in form here and there, but I think towards the end of the season, you're really seeing a re-energised Mane and a player that really was the spearhead of Liverpool's attack alongside Luis Diaz, with the fact that Mo Salah had very much dropped off on his form. But obviously he's opted out, or not opted out, there's a GEA expression. He's decided that he doesn't want to be a part of Liverpool's team for 2022-2023. He is going to be leaving. Obviously his contract is running out at the end of next season, so it makes sense for Liverpool to sell him, and hence why they have needed a replacement. There were some talks, that maybe Luis Diaz was the replacement for Mane, and they were foresighting the fact that Sadio Mane was going to be leaving the football club. But I think when you look at how well Liverpool played in the second half of last season, they were extraordinary. They were absolutely brilliant in more ways than one. I think out of 33 games, they lost 2, and one of them was Inter at home, and the other one was obviously the Champions League final. So when you kind of factor that in, Liverpool having those extra options in attack, having that extra depth in their squad, is the whole reason why they won the League Cup and FA Cup. I think you could easily be sitting here and talking about Liverpool having won nothing this season, because that could have been the outcome had we have not, bolstered our squad in January, bringing in the likes of Luis Diaz. So, to have those options there with Jota, Firmino, Salah, Diaz, and now Darwin Nunez, I think it'll be absolutely crucial. In terms of the player itself, well, I'll tell you what, we'll run through some stats, shall we, and see what this guy has been up to throughout his career. So with Benfica this season, 28 games, 26 goals, 4 assists, not too bad at all. The season previous, actually not that great, to be honest, 6 goals, 9 assists. Could that statistic maybe be a little bit worrying? Just 6 goals, 9 assists in his first season of the Portuguese league. Didn't exactly hit the ground running that season. So maybe a little bit surprising in some aspects there. In 8 games with Uruguay, he scored 1 goal. And the season previous with Almeria, 2019-2020 season, he scored 16 goals in 32 games. So not too bad at all there. So you look through those stats and you think, first season with Benfica, a little bit slow, 6 goals. Obviously we don't know the whole factors to everything there. I don't know, maybe Benfica had a poor season, maybe they weren't up to the races, maybe they just weren't, quite near the levels that they should have been in Portugal. I know obviously they're usually thereabouts in terms of a league title, alongside the likes of FC Porto, but yeah, we don't know all the ins and outs of that scenario, where there are injuries or whatever, we don't quite know. But from what I've seen of them, and, I've seen Liverpool against Benfica twice, obviously, this season. Very, very good footballer. Physically strong. He can hold players off. He's got an eye for goal. He's a very, very good finisher. He didn't have many chances against Liverpool, but when he got the chances, he scored. And he scored in both games. And he gave Van Dijk a lot of problems. And apparently, Van Dijk is one of the players who's gone to Klopp and said, look, I think you should sign this guy. I think you should look at this guy because he's been very, very good. And let's not forget, Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp in particular, do seem to have this sort of strange track record of signing players that Liverpool have come up against. Takumi Minamino was one. Mane destroyed Liverpool once with Southampton before and scored a hat-trick, a second-half hat-trick. And Liverpool, he was a Liverpool player in about 2 or 3 months further down the line. So it's happened. Wijnaldum had very good games against Liverpool. It's happened with Klopp where he's seen players against him, and he's then actually gone out and bought them. And whilst a lot of people are sort of maybe saying, he doesn't know the English game, he's not proven, he's not this, he's not that, and everything else, and questioning this move. Just look at the signings that Liverpool have made under Klopp. I mean, a lot of people maybe would have questioned Diaz, because he signed sort of mid-season in January and things were going well for Liverpool. There was never time for him to get put under the spotlight or for people for question that transfer, because the deal was done and he was in the team like 2 weeks later. So, and he was brought in to sort of be the extra option in attack rather than be a starting player. So, and people forget when Nunez coming in, there's no immediate pressure for him to hit the ground running. Yes, it is an 80 million transfer with 20 million in add-ons, but at the same time, Liverpool have a good enough attack already, even without Mane, in my opinion. Diaz, Salah, Jota or Firmino have proven that they can get the job done. Jota maybe didn't have a great end to the season. There's been doubts over Firmino at times in terms of his goal scoring ability, but there's no immediate rush to push Nunez into the team. Let's not forget he's 22 years of age. This is also not just a signing for this season, but a signing for the future, and a signing for a player who could really light things up in the Premier League further down the line. You're talking about a deal that I believe, in terms of his contract, he's going to be there till 2028. So you look at that and you think, well, that's a 6-year contract. He'll be 28 by the time that deal runs out. And we could be looking at a top player by then, and you'd imagine his deal might even get renewed at some point in there as well. So, an investment for the future, goal scoring ability. I've seen you can never really judge YouTube video compilations because they pick out their best bits, they don't pick out their worst bits. And I remember when Iago Aspas signed for Liverpool, he looked like the next Michael Owen, and in the end he turned out to be the next I don't know, certainly not a great player for Liverpool, to be perfectly honest. He was nowhere near the levels that you want to see from Liverpool, and he looked very good in a video compilation. So, but his build-up play looks good, his support play looks good. And like when you look at Klopp signings, let's not forget this as well. Under Jurgen Klopp, the only player to have failed for me that was a Klopp signing has to be Karius, and Karius, to be fair, he was never that good in the first place anyway. It was a 5 million signing from Mainz. It was just it was a left field signing. It was kind of, trying to cut a corner, trying to find a bargain. Sometimes bargains work with Andy Robertson, sometimes they don't, and that deal definitely didn't quite work. He's a good goalkeeper, but he's not, he's not Alisson level. He's not world class level. He's not a goalkeeper that you're going to have if you win major trophies in my opinion. So, Karius failed. Other than that, I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head that failed as a permanent signing. I mean, maybe Grujic didn't quite hit the world of light, but he was always one for the future. Didn't quite work out. They sold him. Still got their money back anyway. So you'd look at it and think, and even with the Karius transfer, I think he might be leaving on a free, so they won't make their money back on his deal. But a lot of the players that maybe haven't worked out have often been sold on for profit. Minamino is going to go for profit. So a lot of and even at that, we still got value out of Minamino. He kicked some or scored some big winners in big games. So yeah, I've been very impressed with Klopp signings, and I think at the end of the day, you trust in Klopp, you trust this team, the management, the scouting system. They could be going out and signing absolutely anybody, and I'd have full confidence that it would work. And I think the same has to apply for Liverpool, because Klopp has proved time and time again that he knows how to get the job done. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below of the signing of Darwin Nunez. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you all soon.